Hey, it's Joe here. I'm back, and we're still talking to Arthur. Let me just share with you, did you know that a couple of facts in the marriage agency industry in the Ukraine, there's a shortage of men here in Ukraine and Russia by over 1 million. So it's true. There are a ton of beautiful, amazing, articulate, sexy, smart, educated Slavic women in the Ukraine and Russia. Unbelievable how many there are, single, looking for a good man. They don't care if he's Ukrainian or Western. Yes, there's a lot of gold diggers. You have to learn how to weave through and be able to identify the gold diggers and the not genuine ones, but there are a ton, maybe 10%, according to Arthur and my experience as well. Maybe 10% are authentic and real and are looking possibly for you. But it's a matter of finding these diamonds in the rough. So by talking to Arthur, you know, he's just being very open with us to share all his mistakes that he's made over 10 years looking for love, looking for an amazing wife in the Ukraine. So you're going to learn a ton of tips and secrets from Arthur in this interview. We're also going to debunk a lot of myths, and we're going to expose the frauds and scams in this industry, both by conversation between Arthur and myself, and we're going to hear firsthand. You're going to see a video from a scammer that worked inside an agency for years, scamming and conning Western men out of their hard-earned money. And she reveals one story that broke a client's heart, and she breaks down when she tells the story, and that's when she quit her job and left the industry. And she wants to help make this industry better, and she wants to expose the frauds and scam-based industry for what it is, so that hopefully it can change. So that said, let's continue talking to Arthur. Now, Art, you have a really intriguing story talking about letter writing scams.
Yeah.
You have a really intriguing story of how you met your current girlfriend. We'll definitely want to protect her privacy. Let's just call her Sveta, let's
Okay,
say.
yeah, that's good.
And, you know, it's what we were talking about before, this trap, this age difference trap. You have a perfect classic example of how, a lady with 30 plus years difference can fall in love with you.
Yeah.
But now, where is that relationship going? Where can it really go with that big of a gap? Even though she now fell in love with you. If you really appreciate you sharing your story and being so vulnerable to help other men not make this mistake that you made, could you share? And it's a really cool story.
Yeah, I'm happy
how you guys
to.
met.
I'm happy to. It's a true story. This is an ongoing relationship right now, so this is not some fabrication, and I'll share it exactly as it happened. And so I was writing letter writing. This was last year. I'm still caught in the letter writing trap, and this beautiful young girl was writing to me, and so I succumbed to it and wrote back to her, and pretty soon started feeling a connection. It sounded very real, and I'm writing letters to her here in Sumy, and I got to the point where I was get her personal information, and these letters were just, I mean, I would be bearing my heart and being very honest and open to this young lady that I was sharing with, and so I was pouring my heart out to her, and thinking maybe this is the one. And so I got the personal information, which was an email address, and so
She gave you her personal email address?
Yeah, after a certain time you can, buy the email address, or you basically bought it. So I got the email address, and I don't even remember what it was, honestly, if it was a scammy address or what. But I do know this, that when I wrote to her in the email address, it went directly to the agency. Because the answer that I got back on the email was, she said something like, do you have Viber? Well, I wasn't sure what Viber was. So I said, what's Viber?
But it's huge in the Ukraine.
Oh,
they don't use WhatsApp.
Huge. It's huge. And so I said, what's Viber? And she wrote back and said, well, it's a communication. It's an app you can get and download right onto your. I said, oh, okay. Well, and I said, here's my phone number. And I went ahead and did it. And later that day, she Vibered me. And because I had it downloaded by then, and first time I'd ever used it, and she vibered me, and wow, and this is kind of interesting. And so I wrote back, and she said, "It's me." And I said, "Well, it's who? Who are you?" And she said, "It's so-and-so that you've been writing to on for some time."
So you've been writing to, we'll call her Natasha.
Yeah, we'll call her Natasha.
Okay, that was the picture of the beautiful young lady.
Yes,
you've been
indeed
writing
it
to,
was.
Natasha.
That was who I had fallen in love with.
Right.
Natasha.
A picture.
And the letters and the heart and everything that had been written.
Yeah.
So I said...
and she said her name was?
Well...
Sveta, yes?
That is... yeah, her real name is Sveta. Well, first she said... it's me, and I'm going, who? Is this Natasha? And she said... She said, well, yes and no. And I'm going, oh no, what's going on? Because now I'm getting confused. No. She said, I need to tell you a truth, but I don't want you to get mad at me, and I don't want, I'm kind of paraphrasing now. I don't want you to get mad at me, and I have to be very careful because I could lose my job if you tell what's going on. And I said, what's going on? I'm going like, I don't even know what's going on. And she said, my name is Sveta. And I said, Sveta? I thought it was Sveta. And I'm going,
thought it was Natasha.
Well, I'm confused at this point. She got me going. And I'm going, who are you?
Yeah.
Who are you? And she says, my name is Sveta, and I'm an interpreter at the letter writing agency that you've been writing letters to Natasha. And of course, I'm trying to process this. This is the first time this has really been this.
I can only imagine.
Because I said,
you feel like you're falling for this girl, I would imagine.
Yes.
Like Natasha, this beautiful picture, because you're pouring your heart out to her for months, right?
Yeah. So this proceeded along at this, who are you? I don't believe you. And she would come back and say, I know, I'm sorry to deceive you, that I've deceived you by writing letters for Natasha for you. But she said, do you believe that you could fall for somebody from letter writing? And I said, yes, I believe that. She said, I've fallen for you through writing your letters. And then I said, well, who are you? Are you Natasha or are you Sveta? Is that your picture or isn't it? She said, no, that's not my picture. That woman that you're writing to doesn't even ever come into the agency.
Does she even know about you?
She didn't even know who I was.
Natasha didn't even know about you.
Never even knew.
And Sveta is reading your heartfelt emails and responding, and she's fallen for you. Can I ask, what was the age difference? 30 plus years?
30 years. So then I'm getting confused, I'm getting defensive, I'm not sure what's going on. I'm saying, I need to think about this. Let me think and process this. And so about an hour or so later I said, okay, if I believe you, where do we go here? And so she says, she sent me 2 photographs of her and says, is this a woman you think you might be able to love?
And what does she look like?
Well, she looks pretty darn good. She actually looked better than the girl I was writing to. And so I said...
she was hot, slim, sexy?
Beautiful woman.
Beautiful woman.
She is a beautiful woman. And I said, yes, but and you're a beautiful woman. It'd be very easy to fall for you physically, but I also need to know your inner world. I need to know that you're a beautiful person inside because that's important to me. And
but she was probably, in those letters, she was probably coming from her. So you actually did know
Well,
that,
yes and
you?
no. No, I didn't. See, that was the interesting thing.
Now I'm confused.
I know it. Well, I was the one being honest, but she was not in the letters because she was following a scripted profile. Remember, this is a profile of a woman. She has to follow the scripted profile.
Towing the corporate lines, I guess.
The corporate lines. And she was actually, when I got the email, and the second time she emailed me, she was told by the director to stop emailing, getting back on letters. So that's when we went to Viber immediately because it's untraceable. The emails were traceable, and she would have got fired. So as we progressed along over a few days, I decided I believe her. Nobody could make this up. It had to, had to be real.
Yeah.
So I decided, okay. The next day I wrote her back and said, okay, I've thought about this. I'm not angry. You were doing a job. I think it's a foul job, and I think you shouldn't be doing it. But I'm willing to accept it. Let's go from here and see what happens. And we did. And she had, interestingly enough, she told me her story. Then she told me the whole story. Once she knew that I wasn't going to call the director and get her fired, because it was the only job she had. So she had only worked for him about a month, 3 weeks, something like that. And right after we began our communication and our relationship started growing, she quit. She didn't like it either. Couldn't handle it. She couldn't handle the deception and the lies. She was given a computer with a really high-class interpretation software in it, and she'd go into the office as well. She had a group of ladies that was her responsibility. She was never real specific, but it sounded to me at times maybe 20, 30 women that was
her block.
Her block of women, yeah, her
So
pool.
she's writing on behalf of, on behalf of. She's pretending.
She's pretending to be these women.
20 or more women.
And
writing to all these Western
Yes,
men.
and all these men are writing, and she's just answering them. And she goes home at night and did them at night at home, and did them in the office and whatever.
But you stood out among that block of 20, 30 men, and she fell for you.
I don't know. That's all I can't believe it either, and I was really surprised. It was the most shocking thing that had ever happened to me in this whole dating that I've been here. I was just shocked. So I'll kind of move on this, and I after about several weeks of communication, serious communication, daily, I mean, dozens and dozens, maybe 20, 30 interactions every day, questions, answers, back and forth on Viber, which is free.
Yeah.
It's not like writing a letter.
And it's instant.
It's instant.
It's texting.
Yes, it's instant. And we also did Skype videos, live Skyping back and forth, even though her English was not so great. Didn't matter, she could do a little, and my little bit of Russian, we were able to talk back and forth, see that we were real people. See her without makeup on, and see me with looking like I do. I made plans to come over, and I came over, and we had continued this relationship building for almost a month prior to my arrival. I just couldn't get over any sooner. And by the time I did come over here, our relationship had grown to the point where it was like I'd known her for a long. When we met face to face, it was like the most comfortable thing. It was just like I'd known her for a long time.
And there was chemistry?
Oh, God, was there ever? And so now we've been together. We've had our ups and downs because this is a real relationship. This is not a fairy tale. She has one daughter, 10 years old. She does not want to leave Ukraine. She's not has no interest in leaving Ukraine, whatever. We've been together about 6 months now, have a relationship. I'm not saying it's easy. There is a language difficulty. She speaks enough English and I speak enough Russian, and we have translators to work with. But that was a fluke, as far as I'm concerned. That was not something you'd ever count on. It never happened to me before. May never, well, Lord willing, it'll never happen again.
When you say never happened to you before, you've had relationships with 30-plus year age difference women, but you think those were not genuine intention?
No.
But this girl is a good girl with good heart, genuine intentions to have a happy family.
Yes.
And now you have this big age gap. What's your predicament, if you could share?
It is a predicament. Predicament because we're both connected. We have a relationship, a real relationship. We're both invested emotionally.
For 6 months.
Yeah, and there's love that is built, trust that's built. She genuinely, I believe, in love with me and trusts me, and vice versa. So we have this predicament now. So there's a 30-year age gap. My predicament, being a thinking man, is how can I possibly live the rest of my life with a woman that's 30 years difference than me? As much as I love it now, there's this other side of me thinking, this is doomed.
Well, because
so I have this.
I'm 50. I see the physical changes more rapidly now.
Yes.
Whereas when I was 40, honestly, I didn't see very little difference to 20 or 30. But now it seems like age is an exponential, or can be exponential. And so maybe you're seeing this exponential factor for you kicking in.
Sure.
And she's still at that 30-year age. And
yeah,
where's this going? What's the next 5, 10 years going to look
like? 5, I could live 5 and not have any problem with that. I mean, just looking at 5 years, I say 5 years is not a problem. 10 years. When I look out 10 years to what I'll be at 10 years, even if I stay in really good health and good shape. My health is perfect.
You go to the gym.
Yeah, my health is perfect.
Jog.
I have absolutely no physical problems at all.
Way above the average American in terms of your physical fitness.
And another 10 years, I figure I have 10 good years. Okay, so let's be practical about this. In 10 years, she'll be 40. I'll be 70. Yeah. She's going to be in the prime of life. I'm going to be 1 foot in the grave. How am I possibly going to maintain a relationship, a real relationship? Now, I'm not saying it can't be done, but these are the thoughts I think all the time as a practical man.
Yeah.
So,
and you don't want to get your heart broken even more.
I'm just being. I don't even know how the end of this could take. I don't know. I'm just sharing some of my thoughts right now. These are the single biggest issue for me is the difference in age. These ladies are open to an age gap.
Yeah.
And
because they see the inner man, right? They fall in love with the soul and the mind.
They look for that.
They look for that. I've been told that countless times.
Yes.
They're not so hung up on the exterior beauty like the Western woman is.
A whole youth culture in America, and these women are more family culture. They want a man they can trust. They want a man with a good heart that's going to treat them right. It's going to take care of them. All these very things we talked about earlier. That's what they look for. And if they make that connection, I mean, they don't really care if you got a little beer gut here and no hair and not the best looking guy, you know. But if you got that connection with them in the heart.
And here you are, with
and a 30-year difference. What do I do now? So
that's the epitome of a predicament.
It is a predicament.
I see. And so your point is, again, being really raw and real. Don't go there in the first place with a 30-year age gap.
Not if
more than 20 years.
Not if you are wanting a lifetime partner and a serious woman, a marriage that has a high success rate. I don't know. Stay away from the little girls and the young girls. Stay away from that 30-year. It just, no matter if you make a connection, what are you going to do with it? Yeah. Now, if you just want a short-term relation, okay. But if you want something for the rest of your life, my suggestion is stay in the fish in the pond that is the age group appropriate for you.
10 to 20 years.
I would say 10 to 20. 20 would be on the, depending on who you are and what kind of shape you're in. 20 years. But I would stay in the 10 to 15 and feel pretty safe about it.
Thank you, Art, so much. You've been fantastic to talk to. Well, thank you very much for being so raw.
My pleasure. I know it will help. I hope it does.
Thanks again, Art. Listen, if you want to know the marriage agencies that I've found here in the Ukraine that are truly honest agencies, that care about you, that are not all about the money, that do genuine private personal matchmaking, just shoot me an email, okay, on the screen right here, and I'll be happy to send you an email and let you know which agencies that I've discovered are genuine and true here in the Ukraine. That is 90%, in my opinion, of your success. Looking for the most amazing, beautiful, talented, smart, sexy, amazing wife here in the Ukraine. You can be successful, but to go it alone, you're in shark-infested waters. That's my opinion. Shoot me an email and I'll be happy to share my contacts with you.